When we think about early humans, such as the hunter gatherer tribes, it's easy to assume that people within a group just naturally got along and worked together. But why would they? Why didn't they just fight each other the way different clans or tribes did? Turns out, even within a group, cooperation wasn't automatic. It had to be developed and maintained. Sure, biology helped a bit, mothers caring for their kids, men and women being attracted to each other, but that only got us so far. Those basic instincts don't explain how humans organized themselves in a way that balanced individual desires, child rearing responsibilities, and long term survival. That's where the family comes in, not just as a result of love or instinct, but as a necessary solution to deeper economic and social pressures. The economist Ludwig von Mises makes this point pretty clearly. He says, neither cohabitation nor what precedes it or follows generates social cooperation and societal modes of life. The animals too join together in mating, but they have not developed social relations. Family life is not merely a product of sexual intercourse. It is by no means natural and necessary that parents and children live together in the way they do in the family. The mating relation need not result in a family organization. The human family is an outcome of thinking, planning, and acting. It is this fact which distinguishes it radically from those animal groups which we call per analogiam animal families. In other words, human families like the ones we know today aren't just instinctive. They're products of thought, planning, and social structure. They're not just a side effect of sex. Something else had to happen to get us from free-for-all mating to moms, dads, and kids living together in little family units. The family became the building block of stable cooperation within the group, something that could organize labor, manage resources, and raise children in a more efficient and responsible way. Enter private property and land ownership. As the economist Hans-Hermann Hoppe explains in A Short History of Man, once humans figured out agriculture and started claiming land as their own, they needed a system to manage not just what they had, but who would inherit it. And as populations grew, people couldn't keep living the old way, hunting, gathering, sharing everything, and hooking up freely, because more mouths meant more competition for food. Something had to give. This is where Thomas Malthus comes in. He famously argued, through what's now known as the Malthusian growth model, that population grows exponentially. Resources like food grow only linearly. Eventually, population outpaces resources unless something steps in to limit growth. For a while, people had babies left and right because the cost of raising kids was basically spread out across the tribe. Everyone shared in the raising of children, so no one really felt the full economic weight of reproduction. But as things got tighter, that system couldn't hold up. Hoppe, building on Malthus's insight, says that people had to start internalizing the costs and benefits of making babies. That is, if you had a kid, you were responsible for raising it, not the tribe. That's a major shift. This is where the family, as an institution, really starts to take shape. Instead of group marriage or open sexual relationships, which thinkers like Engels and Morgan described and even celebrated, society began to move toward monogamous or polygamous family structures. Why? Because it helped solve practical problems, such as control population growth, give men a reason to invest in their children, and give women the protection they needed, especially during pregnancy and early child rearing. For men, switching from free love to family life meant fewer women and less reproductive opportunity, at least on the surface. But it also gave more men a fair shot at having kids. Under a free love system, the top dogs, the alpha males, got most of the action. Everyone else basically helped raise their kids. That's not exactly a strong setup for social cohesion. Monogamy, or even structured polygamy, spread out reproductive chances more evenly, which gave men a stronger reason to cooperate and defend their communities. For women, the trade-off was different. In a free love society, even the less attractive women could snag the attention of top-tier males now and then, which was great for their genes. But they also faced serious risk: pregnancy, childbirth, raising kids, and even competition with other women for resources. As food got scarce and competition grew, women needed reliable protection, and that protection only really came when they committed to one man, who in turn would be sure the kids were his. That way, he had a reason to stick around and support them. This setup required a new kind of trust and structure. Mises pointed out that for this family model to work, society had to put a heavier stigma on female infidelity than male infidelity, not because it was fair, but because of the different risks involved. If a woman cheated and got pregnant, her husband might end up raising another man's child without even knowing it. But if a man cheated, the consequences were different. His wife knew that kid wasn't hers. So, with the rise of the family came a shift in how work, property, and responsibility were distributed. Under the old communal setup, everyone kind of shared everything, including the results of labor. But once families and private property entered the picture, things got more individualized. Households became economically independent. You ate what your family produced. No more free rides. If you didn't work, you didn't eat. All of this played a huge role in the spread of civilization. Farming communities, organized around family households, eventually outcompeted the old nomadic tribes. Not only were they better at producing food and raising kids, but they also had the advantage in terms of defense and innovation. And as these family based settlements expanded and slowly spread across the world, not always through conquest, but often through imitation, other groups saw that it worked and copied it. So, in the end, the family, as we know it, didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was a social invention rooted in reason, economics, and the natural limits of living in groups. Mises, Hoppe, and Malthus all saw the family not just as a moral or cultural institution, but as a smart solution to real problems: population growth, resource management, and social stability. And while it may not be as free as the wild days of open love, it brought with it a whole new way of organizing society, one that made modern civilization possible.